Welcome to our podcast called The Best Kept Secret of the Deep State. This podcast will give you the foundation for a greater understanding about the entity commonly referred to as the Deep State. You will, among other things, learn about a very powerful and influential family whose motto reads in Latin esse non videre, which translates to act without being seen. Episode 1. What is the Deep State? You've probably heard the expression the Deep State before, but even if you haven't, it doesn't really matter. We will in this episode try to explain what hides behind the expression. The global criminal syndicate known as the Deep State is infiltrated throughout most of the world governments. It is not a transparent organization, meaning that the members of the organization, for the most part, does not completely understand the whole syndicate structure, as they are driven by their own greed and cannot grasp what they are a part of. Only at the very top of the pyramid, those who are really in control, operating behind the scenes, have the complete picture. The entity that sits on top of the pyramid, that control the deep state structure strategically, is what Donald Trump referred to as the hidden enemy. The hidden enemy is acting through the deep state actors in the captured governments, hiding behind corrupt government officials and various political parties. There is only the illusion of democracy, and the hidden enemy are the puppet masters hiding in plain sight. The deep state is, however, an all-inclusive term, a network of corrupt actors in the federal government, high-level finance, and high-level industry, operating as a hidden government that exercises power alongside, within, or above the elected government. Basically, the deep state consists of individuals that put their own interest before the good of the public and are themselves controlled by the puppet masters that exercise influence from the shadows. People motivated by their own self-interests are more easily controlled and manipulated into carrying out a specific agenda put forth by people higher up in the hierarchy. This corrupt structure is extensively compartmentalized, and the 40,000-foot view is reserved only for the select few that plan different scenarios and outcomes for their own benefit, strategically. To make it a bit easier to understand, we can divide society into 3 tiers. 1. Top tier, intelligent gangsters. Intelligent, rich and powerful people that are morally deficient, without any scruples, aka sociopaths, for example, corrupt bankers and titans of industry. 2. Middle tier, educated criminals, well-educated, articulate and prominent people, but also morally deficient and corrupted, serving only their own self-interests. For example, corrupt politicians, mainstream media, professors, lawyers, doctors, philanthropists, and so-called influencers. 3. Bottom tier. Useful idiots. Every other layer of society that believes in the fairy tales and self-serving lies coming from the upper tiers and blindly following their agenda without questioning anything. But like we said, the structure is heavily compartmentalized, and as long as the deep state controls the narrative, most people will stay blind and ignorant. The 2 upper tiers would be included in the term deep state, but it's not really that black or white. Most people do not realize that this structure exists, or even that they themselves are a part of it. The road to ruin is paved by the perception of good intentions, and lots of people only doing their job. This sort of abstract thinking of how society really is constructed has been purposefully withheld from our cognitive formatting. The entity known as the Deep State is, however, very old, and is not by any means static in structure. The deep state players have always sought to control information, money, and government. Control of money can easily buy control of information. When you control both money and information, getting control of governments isn't really that hard. And control of the government means control of the people. So who creates and controls our money? Most people think money is created by government. This is incorrect. There is a whole hidden side to our history regarding the control of the creation of money, which we cannot go into in detail because of the complexity and length, but we will cover parts of it in coming episodes. But to simplify this, money is created by a bank when a loan is issued from thin air with attached interest. Sir Josiah Stamp, Director and President of the Bank of England, said during the 1920s the following: "The modern banking system manufactures money out of nothing. The process is perhaps the most astounding piece of sleight of hand that was ever invented. Banking was conceived in iniquity and born in sin. Bankers own the earth. Take it away from them, but leave them the power to create money and control credit. And with the flick of a pen, they will create enough money to buy it back again. If you want to continue the slaves of bankers and pay the cost of your own slavery, let them continue to create money and to control credit." Seeing as even the bankers themselves know this, why don't we? We all need to have a basic understanding of the following, as it is the basis of the whole rigged system. All money is made from debt. Every last cent of our monetary system is created through debt. The central banks, which are controlled by private interests, create money from thin air. But it's mainly the private banks that creates our money, and even they create this money from thin air. Both the central and private banks charge the borrower for the creation of money. The cost for creating money is called interest. To simplify this, if the interest is 10% for every $100 created, $110 has to be paid back to the bank. This creates a problem, a big problem. If all money is created from debt, that means that in order to pay the interest, more money needs to be created. Another loan has to be issued, also with an attached cost in the form of interest. And in order to pay the interest on that debt, more money needs to be created, also with an attached cost of interest, and so on and so on. Do you see the problem? This means there is an ever-growing cost for the interest. After a couple of decades, the amount of money owed in interest will consume the whole economy. Then the economic system fails. You can research this topic for yourselves. But it is important to understand the following. Those who control the creation of money control the world. Governments cannot function without money. So tell me, who has the real power? What if I told you that the hidden enemy is really, at its core, the same entities who control our money? Apart from money, what more do they control? What if I also told you that this global criminal organization controls big tech, big pharma, the stock market, the food industry, the chemical industry, mainstream media, political parties, and so on? The hidden enemy also control the World Health Organization, which at this point should be blatantly obvious. The economic system is on the verge of collapse because of the cost of the compounded interest. And the hidden enemy knows and has planned for it. This is the real reason for the pandemic. It was meant to take the blame for the economic collapse, to usher in the Great Reset. This will, however, not play out exactly like they had planned. I know most of you think that the Rothschild family sits at the very top of the pyramid. But they are not exactly hiding in plain sight, though, are they? No doubt that the Rothschild banking dynasty was once very powerful. However, they do not control our telecommunications infrastructure. nor do they control the power grid, nor are they in charge of our financial system. Some questions that need answers. Who does George Soros really answer to? The three-letter agencies have been corrupted and controlled by this corrupt global criminal organization right from the start. How is that possible? Well, who controls the wire? I will not bore you with a history lesson, but have you ever wondered what JFK was talking about in his speech about a global conspiracy? He was not talking about communism. He was talking about the deep state. Follow us into the next episode, where we take a look at a company called Ericsson. Thank you for listening.